Why not dairy? This is actually one of the most controversial topics that I touch on all the time, because the truth of the matter is, well, for the lack of a better way of putting it, we were all misinformed about dairy. Our entire lives we heard, you gotta have 3 or 4 cups or glasses of dairy, of milk a day, and what have you. Truth of the matter is, most of that was propaganda. Most of that was targeted advertising to push a particular industry that really, when you really look at it, there's really no need for you to eat dairy. Number one thing to point out, we are the only species that consumes the milk of another species. You cannot drink cow's milk directly from a cow's tit. It'll make you sick. So it has to be processed and pasteurized just for you to be able to consume it. That should be your number one cue that it is not designed for you to eat. Okay? That's number one. Misinformation. Notice I have dollar signs behind it. The dairy industry actually is one of the most powerful lobbying industries out there. Okay? They work directly with many governments to ensure that their agenda or their sales are pushed. But when we examine what dairy actually does for you, or better yet, what dairy does not do for you, you will notice that there are much better alternatives to dairy that offer you the same thing that dairy is going to offer you without the side effects and the problems. So then the next thing is, what are the side effects of dairy? Dairy causes inflammation. You cannot argue that. Dairy causes mucus. You cannot argue that. And dairy introduces hormones of another species into your body. You cannot argue that. Oh, and another thing let's list, dairy and consumption of dairy is going to be one of the primary and leading causes of skin problems. It causes inflammation in your skin, it causes acne. Why? Because of hormones. Dairy causes bloating and mucus in your body. For many people, dairy causes also inflammation, whether it's inflammation in your guts, in your bowels, or even in your joints. When we talk about the alternatives to dairy, there are so many different alternatives to dairy. Almond milk, coconut milk, or I should say all the nut milk. So almond milk, coconut milk, cashew milk. Then you have things like rice milk, hemp milk. Some people recommend soy. I'm not a big fan of soy, but soy even is an alternative to dairy. So there's absolutely no need to consume dairy. People will also tell you, well, dairy is the best source of calcium. That's not true. There are much better sources of calcium than dairy, especially in the vegetarian or vegan world, that have more calcium than dairy will give you, and also none of the side effects. Vitamin D, also many other sources you can get vitamin D from besides dairy that also gives you a higher content of vitamin D and none of the side effects. So do not keep falling for the misinformation. We all did, but that doesn't mean we have to continue to.